Okay. All right. First of all, I just want to say thank you, God. And I know a lot of my videos start like this. I want to be thankful to God because, not because my life is great. Matter of fact, I expect my life to be worse than what it is today, and today is not good. Um, but I'm thankful. I'm thankful for me to be able to see reality for what it is. I couldn't live my life. There's one thing worse than what was happening to me and what's going to happen to me. Is to live life like these bottom feeders. I'm so thankful I'm able to see them for what they are, the low life that they are, the bottom feeders that they are, the trash that they are. And I love that they have to live this disgusting low lifeness and say the things they have to say to try to create this fantasized reality, which I know they say these things to agitate me. So let me start out by saying I know what's happening to me in regard of why this thing is happening to me. I was put in this program where human subjects are being utilized as guinea pigs, as test subjects. I know there's men, I know there's women, and I know there's children in this program going through horror and terrible things. Why they're using human subjects is because they're developing a weapon system that can attack the body, that can attack the mind, and it's about controlling a human being psychologically and also the body. This technology can destroy your organs, destroy your body, destroy your bones, do so much things to you. And also can attack your mind, manipulating your mind, creating disturbing thoughts, perceptions, memories, all kind of manipulation. The goal is to truly control a human being, but not only to control that human being, make that human being believe that this control, these manipulations are something they should think that is happening naturally, organically, and as a matter of fact, identify with it. They use these low-life bottom feeders, in any human experimentation, any development of any weapon system, they have to provide a control environment. The control environment is a control environment of individuals whose job is to break you down into accepting the manipulations. They want you to accept the persona that they implanted in you. They want you to accept these manipulations. And so they contract these governmental entities running this program, these low life, these losers of human beings, to implement these things. Very non-impressive individual can partake. There's all kind of losery, from bottom feeders that have not accomplished a single things in their life, childlike people, to people who've like CEOs and in corporate world that have more to show for. Either way, whatever range they're in, they are just low life. They have no shame. Matter of fact, I think they empower the losers more than anything. They're all losers in the sense that they partake in these things. But there's some people who have nothing to show for it, and they're the most vocal. They're the one living the most deluded reality, and to see this trash calling themselves gods for the purpose of agitating me is magical. I love it. I love that they do that. Because at this point, they're just saying that to annoy me, but I love to let these bottom feeders calling themselves gods, they say things to try to disorient you. And how they say these things, the voice to skull technology is a technology that it's been around for a long time, apparently. I only know that because I became a target individual. And voice to skull is this technology that can project their voices directly into your brain. It's technology that's old technology. And very much sophisticated. So you can hear this interaction from these perps. While they interact with you, these nobodies make themselves sound like there's this fierce gods. Truly sound like a child trying to sound fierce. Sound like a grown-ass man who's been degraded by reality. And I love the fact that they can play these games. I'm like, regardless of what's going to happen to me, I'm just thankful that I didn't live my life living like this low life. Because the truth is, they're just the bottom feeders. The entities behind this are the Department of Defense. Now, with that being said, as bottom feeders as they are, as low life as they are, what's going to happen to you is going to happen to you regardless. Because at the end of the day, target individual, what you see, this facade of clowns, of theatrics, is that it's the distraction from reality. Those governmental entities developing these weapon systems since maybe the 60s and 50s are those behind this. We're talking about Department of Defense entities. Whatever's going to happen to you, remember one thing, regardless of this shit implementing these things, regardless of how bottom feeders you see this low life, whatever sufferings you're going through, know that this entity, really powerful entities, like the Department of Defense, they're the entities behind this. The rest are just the nothings. The people that you think that are here doing these things to you, if they kill them tomorrow, it will not change what happens to you. So understand the reality of things and see them as this low life. Now, with that being said, they're still low lives. They're still shit and they're still trash. Now, I'm so thankful that today I'm able to see them more like that than ever. And I know as horrible things they can do to me using this technology to me, I know that these people are like nothings. So as much as I want to hate them, I cannot hate them too much. Because I see truly for the low life that they are. The childlike retards. This illusory facade and these characters they've created. This facade that's still delusional. I've seen people stoop to so low. And I love the fact that I'm me and nobody can look at them and for the low life, inferior low life that they are. Not because I have accomplished more than them. It's just because they look at how stupid you have to make yourself be. The things they can say, the things they can do with no shame of how obvious reality is. It's magical. I think out of embarrassment, I could kill myself to do the things they do. And for me, it's been a great pleasure, even in my dying state, to put the reality in their faces. Today is August 19th. Today is a day that is special in a negative way for me. Because on August 19, 2019, this voice to skull technology started applying to me. On that day in 2019, my thought process completely rewired. Everything went in my brain in these disturbing ways. I started no longer thinking the way I would think organically. My thought process was changed, manipulated in disgusting ways. And this low life became very vocal and very theatrical. Doors were being slammed every time they forced me to have this thought process. Noise campaigns of all sorts, for the sole purpose to make me acceptive of these manipulations as they make me experience that. It was such a hard time. It was so degrading, especially when you don't understand what's happening. Today, it's still happening, but with so many years in, it's so ingrained in my brain now that they don't even need to do as much theatrical. But initially, it was like a conditioning state of just every disturbing thought and imagination possible. And when I mean disturbing, I mean it in a pedophilia way. They utilize pedophilia type of tormenting. They control your thought process to experience pedophilia-like centric imagination, thought process, sensations, memories, falsified, disgusting rewiring of your brain. Which, if you think about it, as disgusting and sinister as it is, it would make sense that manipulating the brain like that would be a weapon system. Because when they attack your brain, they don't attack your brain just by degrading your brain in that fashion, because they do that. But they also degrade your brain by making you have degrading reactions and thought process. All that can push one to kill themselves. All that can push somebody to look at themselves in this negative way. All that is a way to weaponize your brain to harm you. Obviously, they do more than just that. But that is where things can be very, very, very degrading. To be psychologically tortured that way is not easy. It's bad. But once you understand what's happening to you, things changes. You start understanding the tactics, the way they do things and the purpose of what they're doing. And the psyops and the facades of these clowns. And for me, it's been a facade that's so disgusting. You know, I know who put me in this program. I had an idea the second I realized things were happening. But, okay. These people put me in something that's gonna follow me everywhere I go. And I know it's my employer who initially put me in this program. Once you put in this program, that's it. And they need human subjects to continuously develop this weapon system. But in fact, it's interesting to see that they have these psyops and facades to paint a false reality. Because my employer is recognized organization for the influences in this country, for their reach in this country, and they're the most conservative individuals you can think of. Me, as a person of color, used to work for them, and there's not a lot of people like me there. So today, the facades, the psyops are the most disgusting things. Today we know that you should not believe what you see. There's a lot of things that can be for sale. The facades that are for sale sometimes are supposed to be facades that are supposed to stand for something positive, but they can be utilized for PR purposes, for just painting this image and facade. It's so disgusting. And for me, it's been this like feminism, like this new age version of feminism that is very falsified, where even women don't even want to associate themselves to this level of feminism because it's so falsified and so selective and so fraudulent. The feminism that can be for sale, the feminism that can be used to sell something, the feminism that is just can be used as an optic, and then actually just a bullshit things they put in front of you. So for me, they have this, and obviously we know that who really behind this young adults, colleges, this is what that facade has gone to, and that's what people don't even respect it anymore as it should be respected. More like, okay, they're just doing that for that presentation, because people can acquire that for the optics of it, and they've been doing that for me. So I have this trash trying to present themselves because of the gender, that when they do this, it's fierce. It's the humiliating reality that this trash are working for this program that torture women and children, and there's women calling out, begging for help. And you have this shit coming out, presenting themselves as these avengers, and this because they're women, and this and that, and this should be accepted as such, when the truth is you're just a low-life trash that have accepted to partake in something that is torturing even babies. And for that, you go to hell one way or another. For that, you'll get chores. Maybe not today. Today, enjoy calling yourself God. You'll see how God works with that. But you'll get yours. And there's so many nobodies involved, and this is the most unimpressive people on earth calling themselves gods as they partake in these things, which I love it, because I'm like, for you, it's just a matter of a millisecond. Today you could be out here watching me suffer in whatever horror way. Tomorrow, whoops, everything changed up. And I've seen that happening in real time. Laughing about how I'm going to be tormented and tortured and manipulated, and how I'm slowly dying away, and then bam. What happened? A month ago you were watching me suffer, dying slowly. Today you are fighting for your life. And I'm saying that with all the intention to acknowledge something that's been happening in that fashion, where people were watching me, and today they go through whatever they go through. Not because they lack of money. I'm sure they got plenty of that. But money there is not going to help you. It's going to help you, but it's not going to stop what's going to happen to you. So I love when this trash call themselves, what they call themselves, gods and whatnot. I'm like, I will always encourage you to call yourself that. The fierceness is the fierceness of somebody who can do things to you harmfully, remotely. That's the level of fierceness. You understand? Braveness that is remote. That is the level of fierceness. So cowardness that you can even imagine. And so I'm thankful that I was able to see them for what they trash are. Today is a special day. It's the 19th of August. It's not special because of something good. It's special because that day my brain has been so rewired in so disgusting ways. Life has been so hard to even deal with. I'm truly manipulated in these disgusting ways. And my body obviously is falling away. I mean, they're doing so much things to my body. I'm literally wasting away too. I'm losing strength, muscle, health, and I'm organically, my organs are rotting away. But this trash are rotten, and they're rotten in their pajamas. Healthy, or at least somewhat healthy, but rotten. I'd rather rot the way I'm rotting than being a rotten trash like this low life, this nothingness. Any day can be their day. And I know, you empower a loser, a human being that has just craved to find empowerment. You'll see what they do. No end. No shame. They will do whatever. When at the time they're going to feel it special. And this program is designed to facilitate evilness. Because the Department of Defense is developing this weapon system, and they have literally created an ecosystem where they've normalized this evilness, plus facilitated this evilness. So it's just like the perfect place to do horror things and create a state of mind of delusionality that's magical. That's why a lot of target majors believe that this is biblical, because this sounds like in the Bible. When they say, oh, evil is going to be the easiest things to do. Evil is going to be so facilitated that anybody can do that, right? Where evil is just easy thing. What's going to be hard is for you to be strong enough to not partake in this evil. Everybody's participating in it. It's easy. You give all the benefits you can imagine. So it feels biblical. But the truth is, this Department of Defense understand. These entities understand. This intelligence community understand. Oh, the mind of these people. They give this childlike trash a little bit of empowerment. Oh my gosh, they get their life like they're like some warriors and they're at war. They're so retarded. Sometimes I love when they call themselves warriors or they're at war. They're like, you really? That's what they're here. They're at war with these babies. They're torturing. The direct energy that they hear on these children. What was that? What war is that for? Trash. I know what's the reality of that. They know that too. It's understanding that this weapon system needs development, and it's going to be developed using human beings, babies, women, men, anything. Just for the purpose of continuously develop this weapon system, finding out the matrices of torment that function the best, the trickeries that's going to function the best. I understand today because I've seen so many testimonials and I understand what this is about. For me, this is what they've been doing. They've been trying to vilify me in whatever ways. Today, when I see children, little girls especially, little black girls especially, they start making me have this reaction, which they said you experienced it when you were a baby or a child, right? In middle school and even younger, 10-year-old, 8-year-old me. And try to make me accepting of this and say, no, it's in you, what we're doing is there, but we're just changing your brain to be there again. Something like that. Some trashy retardation of logic. Even saying that word is just dangerous. Rationale. They have rewired me in so many ways. The brain is completely rewired. You'll see this video right after this. Understand what this is about. Let me just tell you how my brain is so rewired. I can feel an itch here, and I start scratching the itch. They give me stimulation. They just rewire my brain where they give me sexual stimulation from scratching and then putting a child in my brain. That is the type of mind and brain rewiring we're talking about. Dreams are manipulated in these pedophilia ways where they force me to have dreams and then make me think of children, play with my libido. They've been really training the brain in these ways. And then once they help you have these experiences, have perps here in this environment, try to gaslight you to accept this. Oh, I little girl, I have young children. Every time I see these babies, they force me stimulations. With me, with the stimulation, what they do is like, no, but remember what you did when you were in middle school. A 13, 14-year-old kid, a kid who just turned 14 years old, was about to turn 14 years old. I did this impulsive act, which they have to be exaggerating it. Listen, I don't need to be a genius. We understand that children are children. The mind of a child and the mind of an adult is not the same. A child can do this impulsive act and not think twice about it, because the child of the brain doesn't understand things in certain ways. They can be impulsive and not understanding. That mind can change in 2 months, and maturity can hit a little bit more. In 2 months, in 3 weeks, things can change in a child's brain so quickly. Right? Obviously, I'm not a genius for me to be able to say that. These perps understand that even better than me, because some of these perps have children. So they can see every day, they can see their kids like, oh my gosh, 1 month ago, look at you. They can see the growth in real time. So they understand everything. The truth is, they design a reality around you where falsified reality is that. They want you to be in that bubble of false reality. Even the cartoon can say some random things that are just fun, like that's just not fun. That's the things that make it. That can just be rational. They will make noise campaign to put me back in this retardation of logic. I'm like, these people are just retarded. This I can watch a cartoon about something else. They start making me imagine that storyline in my brain. They are truly creating this control environment of people who have no shame about how stupid things looks. That's their job. It's gaslighting. They can gaslight you into retardation, and they don't care how stupid they look for trying to push this retardation. Matter of fact, what they have done is use very childlike people. I call them the frontliners. They are the frontliners of mental spectrum level of logic. I'm trying to be very PC, but the truth is, what I'm trying to say is, this frontline is basically retarded individuals. Pure retardation that have no shame of how stupid and obvious things are, and will push this stupidity into you with all this passion, this retardation, and try to get you to accept these things. Now, target individual, be strong. When I mean strong, it's not strong physically. Strong psychologically, you understand that these people are doing that in this orchestrated, architected way. You are supposed to break down and accept this. If this person is involved, of course it has to be true. That's what it's supposed to make you think. That's what they have, from the childlike retards to people that you, in other circumstances, you could see them in a respectable way. They want you to look at them in a respectable. Sometimes with perps, for me, I've noticed what they've been doing, where they try to present themselves in a respectable way. So you start seeing them in this perception of respect. And then, boom, make you accept these manipulations. I'm currently employed. And I've noticed that at that point, it's like, oh, this is what they're doing. Because gaslighting works, especially when you have respect for the individual. Especially when you have some kind of respect in them. Oh, this person is an accomplished individual. If he's saying that, if she's saying that, then it must be true. No. They want you to start seeing them in this fashion, in a respectable way, in a way that you can, and then they'll be like, oh, that's you. You see that we mapped it. Become retarded in 0.25 seconds. For me, that's been the game. Hey, you see, I'm able to do this. You see, I'm a rational man or woman. So this is it. Understand this. You are a test subject from Department of Defense developing weapon system. These people that are doing these things are some of the smartest human beings you can ever imagine. Okay? The way they're architected, that they understand the human mind and how they can manipulate them. They understand how to break somebody down. Just because you're seeing a child like retard, understand these people are just as they just send them. But these people are architecting that, understanding very well what they're doing, and understand that they know very well. So as I immediately when I see them trying to make me accept this manipulation because, oh, that's what you're trying to do. I've seen this in all shape or form. Now I love putting, the pleasure I get now is the pleasure of just knowing that this person is so much more smarter than me, way smarter than me. But for him to try to gaslight me, he's going to dumb himself down to a level of retardation, to the level of these children. And I love to be, oh, thank you. Now let me just show you how obvious you do what you're doing. Target individual, find that as a dignified thing, because you see people stoop to a level of retardation of no return. And I love to see people like that in any other circumstances where you respect them. You see them as very logical, rational individual and dumbing themselves down to a point of no return. And I'm here to say, I know what you're doing and look how embarrassing it is. You're here showing your baby for this purpose. I know what. And then they'll start saying things that is more retarded. I said, we're at war. Yeah, shut up. You're at war. You're in your office over there doing these things. That's why you're out here showing your baby, your little girl, your little whatever, your child. You're at war. You're a trash low life. An opportunist. It's obvious why you enjoy this. I'm involved, like I'm employed by people who get a lot of benefits for partaking in that. That's why you, such a smart person, analytical as it ever gets, will dumb yourself down to this level. Because the incentives are amazing. We're talking about the ability to control a human being in this way. And the thing is, they control it and they manipulate and they degrade people the same fashion. So it's just not me saying that. They have this tendency that this analytical person is supposed to block out. That are so systematic that it's ridiculously validating. And now me, I've become this genius in front of people who are supposed to be the most analytical, the smartest people, the well-spoken individual, and me, little old me, out here putting that in their faces like you're a retard. Matter of fact, these manipulations are coming from governmental entities where issues are so obvious, and this is just destructive to this low life. Can you imagine that the entities working this program, the entities architecting this program, have had issue with pedophilia that is so bad and such a big issue, not just random one or two individuals there. The Department of Defense, there was a bill called National Defense Network Abuse Act, prompt in 2019. This bill was introduced because in 2018, the Department of Defense employees were downloading so much child porn using DoD computers, and DoD network was utilized to access to this child porn. So much of it that there was a ranking from Child Protective Services that specialized in child porn, ranking the DoD network, internet network, as a top-tier child porn network, meaning that people were doing so much child porn that out of the whole United States, the DoD network, internet network, was being ranked a top-tier network where child porn is being accessed. A bill was created to try to limit it, to try to make it look like they're doing something, because how embarrassing is that the most powerful entity in the world is also one of the most ranked for child porn trafficking in the United States, saying there's a lot of pedophiles, not only a lot of pedophiles, but a lot of pedophiles working there, but using what is given to them by the DoD to access child porn. And this trash in front of me, working for these governmental entities, working for these entities with clear issue of pedophilia, are trying to say, no, with you, what we do, we just went to your brain, we did this and that, and remember what you did as a kid. When I'm looking at this law saying, hey, there's so many child porn pedophiles in these entities that we have to create this bill to try to stop them from using the computers given to them by the DoD, the Pentagon-given devices, for downloading child porn. And you see this grown man, this analytical person, willing to show his baby at any point to try to force you to have this manipulation that this technology can make you experience. That clearly shows that they do these things because they use that as a weapon system. This technology is weaponized. So they force you to have reactions and stimulation, and they study how they can make you experience that. They analyze the tactics that will make you be more accepting of it. For me, they try to make me feel like how you felt like that when you were a kid. You know, if you do this and that. Can you imagine you're well in your 30s? It's like, no, but if your brain was like that and that, it's so disgusting. Or they say, no, you're going to pay for what you did as a kid. Earlier today, right before that, they've been making me think of what I did as a child, but try to exaggerate. What I did as a kid, this impulsive act, it was something I did to myself. They have to exaggerate because they want you to start feeling guilty for what you did as a child or whatever. They try to make you feel guilty. So you can look at them as these avengers, and the facade and psyops can be presented in such nature. So they exaggerate, try to make me think of, and they've been trying to always exaggerate. There's levels of exaggeration. There are some extreme, some are less extreme. They've been trying to make me imagine, no, you used her hand, you actually moved her, when the truth is I did something to myself as a child. And it was just me doing something to myself. Now, that's still not appropriate, but it's an appropriate act of a child. They're just trying to exaggerate that even more. But this piece of shit that's exaggerating what I did as a child are involved in a program where they clearly harm the children in so many horrible ways. It is foul that these people every day are deflecting the testimonies of this woman, looking at their children suffering. This teacher saying their babies being tortured and tormented in disgusting ways that you're going to hear. On this day, I want to make sure that it's clear that I will never identify with this manipulation. Matter of fact, they tell me how they're going to frame me. What is the trashy way these people can do that? They're going to have children say that I raped them. Which, for me, in my states, I'm dying either way. It's bad for me. So this lowlife, who's supposed to be living a long life, what did you think they signed up for? They signed up for something to come back in magical ways. Matter of fact, today, on this special day, something's happening magically. They signed up for something to come to them in a magical way. They didn't have to do any of that. It was going to happen regardless. So now they have children say that I raped them. They're setting me up in this way where they're going to say that I raped this child and making it sound like I had some interaction and communication with some children here. And all this nastiness. They've been trying to paint this facade and storylines. Try to look for what they can change around, the stories they can create. No, but in 2011, you talked to this person. She was just turning and making this whipping noises, this trash working for top-tier child porn traffickers, these entities that can't even, that's out here torturing babies. They can't even say a name of a man that used to pick up kids as young as 14 years old because the employer who put me in this program donated so much money to this man after the allegations. And they are here, no, but it was 1 week before she turned 18. I'm in college. I'm about to go to college. I'd talk about college at one point. Try to find ways to try to make me accepting of this manipulation, because today they forced me to have this nasty manipulation toward these babies, even the older kids, and all try to create these storylines. Whatever that they can put together, these falsify ways. But the reality is these trash are working for governmental entities with clear issue pedophilia. These people are here torturing the babies, infants. They are renowned to create this pedophilia type of tormenting tactics, creating false personas, looking for clear ways of trying to create a false profile of an individual as they manipulate the person in real time. What they deserve for what they're part of is disgusting, because what they're part of too is not only they do this manipulation toward them. If they're psychologically breaking people down this way, you don't think people are going to end up causing harm to others? Mass shootings were pushed by people like them. This coward lowlife are so cowardly that they will push a man or a target individual to lose his mind and go and shoot up a whole place. This trash are here hidden somewhere. Using these retards of childlike shit that they're already grooming to do these things. I heard this trash saying, now I'm going to send you to jail. This shit is involved in a program that's out here torturing babies. This shit sent herself to hell and doesn't even know it. She's not even going to make it to my age. But they've been creating this psyop of facade like they're fierce femme fatale and they're avenging and trying to bring her up about what you did to this woman. And the women they have destroyed and tormented and pushed them to kill themselves. Who knows how many. But they're picking up testimonials of this poor woman suffering to death are here. So this shit talking to me, making herself believe she's an avenger, when she's a lowlife involved in a program where she deserves a lot of horrible things happening to her for partaking in this. Today, I live in New York City. It's real life here. All these things they try to pin me as this real thing happening in real time here. These kids not too long ago were kidnapped, raped, filmed getting raped, children. While this trash out here framing me. These are the shit being groomed in these ways. Target Vigil. Before I die, I made sure that I spoke as much as I can about what's happening. You don't need to see my face. I don't need my name itself. It doesn't matter. I just want to make sure that I did my part. For any target individual who get lost in this facade of reality they put together, see this life what they are and what they deserve is something way worse than what we're capable of doing. So don't worry about it. It's going to happen the way it needs to happen. I've seen that in real time. And I know it will continue when I'm way gone. Target individual, stay strong.
In 1965, DARPA launched Project Pandora, which studied the possibility of using microwave radiation to control human behavior. The project reportedly ended in 1969, but DARPA's investigation of how machines can affect and possibly control the brain continues to this day. Human mind can be altered. In 1965, DARPA launched Project Pandora, which studied the possibility of using microwave radiation to control human behavior.
Of innocent citizens being controlled by government-sanctioned experiments? Is Cheryl Welch telling the truth, or are her claims absurd? Just another conspiracy theory that's impossible to prove? Maybe. But not if you listen to Nick Begich.
I think there's some good evidence that Cheryl Welch and many of the other people I've spoken with have been victimized by this electromagnetic mind control experiments. The weapons of this century aren't bombs and bullets and ordnance, but electromagnetic energy targeting the human being, which is a greatest revolution in military affairs since gunpowder.
Begich is an expert in government mind control. He is convinced the Pentagon has mastered a technology once thought to be science fiction, the ability to broadcast information directly into the human brain.
Our government began spending a lot of time looking at how to modify behavior of human beings. Going back to the Korean War, in fact, in a publication, Low Intensity Conflict in Modern Technology, they have a chapter on electromagnetic weapon systems, being able to not just to debilitate someone, but actually even to stimulate certain activities within the brain.
But how?
HARP is the High Frequency Active Auroral Research Project, which started as a joint effort of the Air Force and Navy. This is a very large array or field of antennas based in Alaska, radio frequency antennas.
HARP antennas transmit powerful radio signals into the upper atmosphere to study the effects on wireless communications. But Begich says HARP can also be used for more sinister ends.
HARP has announced several other programs and campaigns, and there's two areas that I got very concerned about. One was weather modification applications. The other was the effect on human beings. If you can modulate a signal that the brain locks onto, recognizes, and begins to mirror or follow the frequency following response, the brain rhythms change, then it creates a chemical cascade within the brain and the emotions change. Now the resolution gets finer and finer and finer. And it used to just to be about triggering emotions. You could change people's brain chemistry pretty readily, change their emotional state pretty easily. But when you get down to the idea of thoughts and being able to manipulate those, that requires a different kind of sophistication.
Can we hear sounds?
Designed to interact with the human nervous system in order to remotely pick up on someone's neural network or EEG and not only receive that and monitor it, but manipulate it and place it back into the victim to control their emotions or control their actions or bodily functions for that matter. The other more recent term we have for that is EEG heterodyning or EEG cloning. The difference between EEG heterodyning and EEG cloning would be, let's say, me remotely receiving your EEG and then duplicating it and putting that in another person to give them your same thoughts or feelings or physical reactions. EEG heterodyning would be receiving your EEG, manipulating it to put it back inside your head to give us a desired physical reaction or emotional reaction.
With external fields of all kinds. For radio frequency, you can look at the Radio Frequency Dosimetry Handbook, 1986, University of Utah, produced for the Air Force. It gives you the resonant frequencies for each vital organ so that you can send in a radio signal that will couple with the liver, the kidneys, the lungs, and cause them to malfunction so that you can degrade the performance of your adversary. The new weapon systems being developed today will attack the mind, the body, and our physiology on an energetic level. Not with bullets and bombs. It's a perfect Republican weapon. No offense to Republicans here, but you don't want to destroy the property. You're going to have to rebuild it afterwards. This is a weapon systems of the 21st century. It's the very beginning of it in a lot of ways, but the research goes back over 50 years.
My name is Dr. John Hall. I'm a medical doctor from Texas. As I understand the memorandum from the President, it's for you to determine if current legislation is adequate in protecting individuals and if there's any ongoing experimentation. In reviewing the common rule, it's very obvious that there's a lot of loopholes to informed consent. All of the horrific experiments you've mentioned, Willowbrook, MK Ultra, radiation experiments, mostly were done without informed consent. They were funded by the DoD and intelligence agencies, where I'm not even so sure you would know if there's an IRB, much less if an IRB is looking at informed consent. As a physician, relative to some of what you're hearing today, in the community, we are seeing an alarming rate of complaints of use of electromagnetic weapons, microwave auditory effects, silent sound spectrum, EEG cloning, which has taken the lab out of the laboratory and into the home. Most of these, from the research that we reviewed, can be done remotely. It seems to be more weapons research than medical research. I've personally corresponded with upwards of 1,500 victims, all complaining of identical complaints from every state in the nation of being exposed to electromagnetic radiation, non-ionizing radiation for the use of cognitive control or behavior control. I've submitted a paper to you, and there's another paper submitted to each member from another physician in Kansas City alluding to the same thing.
You do that, you can control them using neuro-linguistic programming techniques. You're rewiring their thought processes and brains. And so this gets into what's called offensive information warfare. And they used it, I believe, in the Gulf War. You can call it a eugenics program even. But also walk them to their, they want to see if they can, hyper game theory. How do you, they want to see if they can manipulate people to do things that are irrational, but also walk them to their death. And so you can call it a eugenics program even. And they need to sample all cultures, language throughout the world to define their probability matrices of which tricks, techniques, deception works. So how do you control a brain? Most people don't believe that. Well, you can't control me. I have my own free will.
V2K, or voice to skull. This involves the projection of voices, noises, and music directly into my mind to communicate with me in real time and at the speed of thought. And it also includes the manipulation of thoughts, emotions, and perceptions in the person's mind. Additionally, the targeting is all highly perverted and sexual, as well as just
it is dramatic. It's somebody trying to end my life. It's somebody trying to end who I am as a person. It's somebody trying to take over my mind, putting thoughts of pedophilia. This disgusting, disgusting, disgusting things. You saw where I was going with that first word. Disgusting things that I don't even want to talk about because it makes me sick. I don't even like those words in my mind. But it is what it is. So I have no choice now but to acknowledge that there are people in my surroundings or whatever they're doing. I don't know how they do it. I don't care. I don't know if it's through weapons. I don't know. I don't care.
This is a common breakdown tactic of belief systems and the human will. In no-touch torture, the techniques are more psychologically specialized for each target. Most common examples include homosexual targets that are forced with voices that are derogatory to their lifestyle and similar mental images. Almost all targets are forced to view child pornography in their minds. And vice versa.
They use these monarch-style torture programs, like it's based on sex and trauma. So they're gonna traumatize you. They're gonna use your libido to get back at you, and
this technology can be used to sexually manipulate the target. It can make the target feel sexual arousal.
What is referred to as malodorance. This is the alteration of the smell sensation so that I am often made to smell various things, including smoke, burning, dirty diaper, or baby powder, which they sometimes combine with the pedophilia type of torture, including the threat of planted dreams and form of torture. They coordinate the voice. I really mean extreme. I experienced an entire night with forced spontaneous orgasms repeatedly all through the night, one right after another, with maybe around 1 hour of sleep or so, as I lay immobilized in my bed.
In my mind, I can hear my own voice. I told them I'm going to make you pay for all of the years of torture that I've taken, and all you are going to me and my family. Ben said the slaves began a program of perversion. First was with my dog. I am very playful with my pet, and suddenly one day that I was petting him I felt strange, in the sense of the word. I thought, this is strange, and then afterwards that strange sensation continued. Then in that moment I realized that was impost, so I thought, look at this losers, don't know how to put me down, and they are doing this. So I told them that I know what you are trying to do, and I started laughing, and then I said again out loud, you'll never take my will, ass. So just to show them that I meant what I said, I kept playing with my dog, and even though that attacks continue, I don't let them get me. Today they continue with the programming of perversion, but this time they are aiming in the use of people, better said young people, also children and homosexuals. When I aggravated them I used able to impose any information on the brain of a person, presumably by some kind of waves, which in the mind take the form of voices, thoughts and images and imagination. In addition to this kind of implanting information that they need, they manipulate the psyche so that the information is written into your memory. Then by stimulating the certain regions in the brain they can retrieve this information and present it as your own memory. This is the conclusion that can be made judging by the influence they have been making on me with their psychotronic weapons, for example artificial thoughts, imagination, and mental torture.
I also often see highly disturbing pornographic images and videos, including highly disturbing pedophilia type of images and videos when I close my eyes.
Be my guess that this person developed delusional disorder. This is a paranoid schizophrenia. But first of all, nobody develops paranoid schizophrenia in the 50s, in their 50s. This is, you know, if you haven't developed it by 30, it's not. Then this technology exists. These nefarious programs exist. And it's hard to imagine for a person that why would you do something like this? But if you think about the new type of warfare,
cognitive warfare.
Exactly. It's a cognitive warfare. You don't have to kill people that you are fighting against. You can just degrade their brain. You can,
you alter their minds.
Yeah, alter their minds.
Personalities.
And it's like Chinese torture. I mean, this, okay, so.
So this gets into creating Manchurian candidates, split personality, and information curtains, you know, satanic ritual abuse. Okay, so they'll say we're the Russian government, we're the Chinese government, we're evil aliens, we're Satan's. So they'll say we're the V2K. So they'll say we're the Russian government, we're the Chinese government, we're evil aliens, we're Satan's, you know, satanic ritual abuse. And I've heard all these stories. One guy believed it was some 14-year-old kid with an Xbox that lived next door. The trickery really is that great when you're under hypnosis that people will believe something other than a massive government could do this.
It's already being used. I mean,
if you talk to the victims, the TIs, one of the worst breakdowns, and it's pretty common. I think I can say the word simulated rape and forced orgasm.
You can say anything you want. This is the internet.
Okay. And so simulated orgasms and rape is extremely common, and especially violating for women. They complain about that torture breakdown the most.
You feel that you've been in justice?
You mean as far as the Justice Department feeling me?
Well, in terms of your being a victim.
You mean what I'm feeling?
Yeah, explain a little bit to me how you perceive yourself as being.
I have actual photographs of burns on my body. When I went to my doctor, the response was, "How do I know you didn't do that to yourself?" How do you even address that? I've passed 2 psychological evaluations, not 1 but 2. The one physician said, "You're mentally sound as a bell." He said, "I don't have any idea what's going on with you." When I go to sleep, when I go to try to sleep, I feel like I'm being lit up like a Christmas tree. I feel every cell in my body just bouncing out of my body. I can't even describe it. I get electric shock of my rectum. I get electric shock up my nose. I've woken up with burns on the end of my tongue. I've had burns on the palms of both of my hands. I vibrate. I can barely hold a piece of paper without quivering. Does that answer your question?
I'm trying to find what's the source of the...
The source are these exotic weapons. They talk about in 2976
But if you would pass it, it might give other communities the courage to do the same thing and show our Defense Department we are not the enemy. We are not to be attacked. We are not terrorists. Most of us are defenseless women. The next speaker.
Hello, my name is Kimberly Buckner, and I have been a targeted individual for a very long time. The things I have experienced due to being targeted, they have been unreal. But however, I can personally attest that this is very real indeed. My life has been destroyed in every possible way, and every day has been a struggle for me. I am very grateful to be before you today due to Amy Anderson's due diligence and to everyone else involved. I thank you, council members, for giving us targeted individuals a chance to speak and to be heard. And I pray that these atrocities will soon be brought to an end. But we need your help. Thank you.
Alex.
Military medical research. I too believe my experience is referred to as no-touch torture, utilizing defense technologies. Jonathan Marino, he basically predicted all this a number of years ago in his book Undue Risk. I'm asking you to help initiate a congressional investigation. We've all come a long way. This is what is needed. We want to have the accounts of this extreme human rights abuse that's going on in our country documented and heard, all of the accounts. We also need what was done during the Clinton administration, which is a major declassification of some of these documents that are hiding what's been going on. I speak for many when I say we've suffered long enough. My personal experience has been 10 years. I've been vilified. I've been ostracized. I've been tortured. I have burns on my body. I'm an American. I have rights. The answer to the question, the big question today, could it happen today? The answer is yes, it is happening today. It is happening for some of us every day. I am begging for you to help us. Thank you.
I'm kidding. Hello, everyone. My name is Leslie Crawford. I'm here from the state of Michigan. I wanted to speak about biotechnology applications being utilized on my person. I have medical reports showing eye damage being done to my eyes. My eyes does not have a mirror image. I also have nanowiring inside my eyes. I have pictures of the actual implants from the eye doctor. Once enlarging the nano implants, you will see a copy of the actual particles in my eyes. I have CAT scans, MRIs, and PETs showing wiring, nanowiring in my head. This is my brain. It's straight from the right side to the left side of my head. I also have implants in my chin, in the chin region on both sides. One side shows a wire, the other side shows the actual implant. Implant particle devices coming down through here. Projectiles of the nanoparticles on the side of my head. Enlarged pictures. These crimes is happening in America. This is a domestic problem, not only international. the victims is not being just victimized individually. We are being victimized and our family members as well. Gang stalking tactics and harassment was utilized to implement us into this program unconsensually.
Leslie, I think your comments reinforce much of what we've heard, and if you don't mind, I'd like to make room for others at the microphone now, since it seems to be reinforcing. Juan, I'd ask you to pick somebody, this gentleman right here. Yeah.
She's been waiting.
I'm sorry, who's been waiting? Oh, yeah, please.
Okay. My name is Eugenia Derden.
I'm sorry, Eugenia?
Eugenia Derden, yes. Everything I've heard from this commission and this panel about ethics, they were mostly talk about pharmaceuticals research, but I haven't heard anyone talking about a psychotronic weapon research, or bioelectromagnetic weapon research. Who in this panel are familiar with a psychotronic weapon? Raise your hand, please. Who of you know about psychotronic weapons? Any one of you? Psychotronic bioelectromagnetic weapons. Are you familiar with that?
Not at all.
No? Okay. In this audience, is anybody familiar with a psychotronic weapon? Okay. Okay, the audience is familiar with that, and I think that in order for a panel or a commission to be able to help this problem and this issue, we'll have to have more knowledge on what psychotronic weapons are. I am physically leashed from my neck to the electromagnetic power of one of the weapons that is being used against me. I get tortured day and night. At night it's with nightmares and all kinds of dreams that I don't want in my head. And throughout the day it's my body. They prod with my neurological system, so they do anything to my body. Sometimes it's painful, sometimes.
My name is Dr. John Hall.
In a way, I'm very sorry to address you like this because I think that what you're doing is very admirable. But I'm here to represent this other group, and I'm also targeted, and this is my story. My name is Sandra Field. I'm an architect, recipient of Who's Who of Women in America Achievement Award, and have run a successful business for over 28 years. My life and livelihood have been compromised for the last 11 years by being attacked by electromagnetic radiation torture and by organized stalking. I cannot live in my rent-stabilized apartment in New York City as a result of this torture. I'm currently staying in motels and friends' houses in the last year. Thousands of Americans are currently suffering from chemical, electromagnetic, psychological, and physical torture with no government relief or laws. Our servicemen, prisoners, and thousands of unknowing, innocent civilians are currently being lamed, tormented, and tortured as a result of military research, medical research, pharmaceutical research, physiological and psychological studies that have virtually destroyed participants' sanity, physical well-being, reputation, and privacy.
And the plan is that Mr. Juan Chuck back here will be, has the list of folks that will be offering comment. And maybe the thing to do is to just dive into that. I want to remind you before we do that the commission, of course, is charged on the topic of...
Ms. Cassandra Lewis?
Hi, Ms. Lewis.
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Cassandra Lewis, and I'm a targeted individual from Baltimore, Maryland. My story may sound disjointed. I'm trying to keep it within the minute and a half. I worked as a legal secretary at Hogan and Hartson in Washington, D.C. It is now called Hogan Lovells. Attorney Jan McDavid made a client mistake that she tried to blame on me. I then refused to work for Ms. McDavid. Shortly thereafter, strange and inexplicable events occurred on my job, and after being fired, followed me to my home and to all my travels. Attorney Christopher J. Hagan, formerly of Hogan and Hartson, Mr. Samuel Conrad, he's a retired security administrator of Hogan and Hartson, and Robert Johnston, who is the current firm administrator of Hogan Lovells, are responsible for my targeting. I believe to protect Ms. McDavid's reputation, a phone call was made. To whom and why they did this to me, I truly just speculate. Gang stalking and harassment was used to implement this non-consensual biotechnology application that is being used on me. I now experience involuntary limb movements. I receive stingings. I get pains to my head, to my abdomen, to my vaginal area, and to my anal area. I am receiving...
Mrs. Marshall?
Good afternoon. My name is Connie Marshall. I'm a former mayoral candidate from Louisville, Kentucky. I have never been involved in any criminal activity. I found a document in my bank account that said, problem with Kentucky government, check federal government paperwork and file before releasing information to anyone. I am an 8-year victim survivor of assaults by directed energy weapons. The torture I've experienced consists of body overheating, body extremely cold, seizures, heart pain, earaches, itching behind eyes, burning behind eyes, swelling, headaches, involuntary movement of my limbs, exhaustion, speeding and heart racing, hair coming out by the handfuls as if I've had chemotherapy, mind paralysis, being hypnotized or placed in a trance-type state, being tracked by a drone or satellite, controlled dreams, sleep deprivation, V2K, which is voice to skull, projected sound, extreme muscle spasms, and extreme muscle cramps, being made to fall down, blue circles around the pupils of my eyes, and I'm here and you can look at them if you like, low frequency noises in my home, high frequency noises in my home, sexual stimulation, numerous electrical appliances in my home are destroyed, 4 computers, 2 fax machines, 7 telephones, 4 CD players, VCR, DVD players, electrical igniter switch on my furnace, washer and dryer, air conditioner, also my car radio, CD player, and engine were destroyed. I am watched in my home 24 hours a day and followed around everywhere I go, though I do not have a criminal history. When I ran for mayor of my town, I was also attacked at debates and forums. My website is www.justiceforallcitizens.com. Thank you. And I would like to leave these flyers with you all as well.
Perverted, involving many combinations of sensory and motor manipulation of my mind and body and of the people around me. This includes many different types of zaps to varying degrees to the genitals, butt, anus, and the entire pelvic area. This also includes many kinds of movements, such as the rocking, swaying, jolting, vibrating, and shaking of my entire body or various body parts, specifically in a sexual way. The severe vibration is a highly noxious stimuli and is very intolerable. They sometimes do pulses or throbbing sensations on the genitals too, etc. There are also body movements such as rocking my pelvic area back and forth, repeated rubbing sensations, the sensation of something going up my crotch and in and out, etc. They also often force vaginal discharges and zap my genitals at the same time. These sexual assaults are present throughout the day, every day, and anytime I am awakened at night, every night. They range from mild to extreme, but usually involve daily and nightly continuous assaults for the past 3 years now. When severe, the zaps to the genitals feel as though someone is electrocuting my genitals repeatedly. I also experience what is referred to as anything electronic. They have even locked me out of my office building that uses an electronic key. It is often very difficult and an immense battle just to even sit on the toilet to go to the bathroom. not only because of the bowel and bladder manipulation, but also because of the frequent severe sexual assaults on the genitals, my butt and anus, shaking, vibrating, and rocking my body back and forth, and forced eyeball movements, and phantom touch sensations doing rubbing sensations, etc.
But I was going to be shot in the face. And it was an older guy. He was like really, really disgruntled and pissed off. Yeah, you're going to get shot in the face. You know, sound like an angry ass old person. You know, then a couple of days later, a female said the same thing. Don't get shot in the face. You know, stupid shit like that. But what I really noticed is with the Voice of Skull, it's a bunch of females. You know, and I'm like, bro, really? You're not a woman. What real woman would stalk another female or sit back and allow that to go on? You really think they think it's nothing wrong with them?
So, yesterday I went to the beach and like drank a couple of beers and just sat down there after laying in bed and sobbing for 2 hours because the private parts of my body were being burned and my breasts are removed. And it's the trauma from it. It's not being able to cope with the pain and the emotional trauma that comes from someone harming me using, I guess, remote medical technology is my best guess. I went and saw a dermatologist. Hey, I just woke up after a pretty rough night. The same thing happened last night as the night before, which was whenever I was trying to go to sleep, the private parts of my body began being burned again, and it felt like someone pushing out stream. I can feel it's going to be the same again today. Already on the harming of the private parts of my body. Don't really know what to do. I tried to go to a doctor to get some kind of pain medicine because what actually happens to me, a lot of strange things. I've been doing some research, I guess what it's called, organized stalking. I'm called a targeted individual. But the abuse last night was pretty extreme. I can feel it's going to be the same again today. Already on the harming of the private parts of my body. Don't really know what to do. I tried to go to a doctor to get some kind of pain medicine because what actually happens to me, what is happening to me is my actual physical body is being burned. And so it causes me to go into shock, and it's excruciatingly painful. And I have my limitations on the duration and length of pain that I can handle. So it was a couple of weeks ago, I tried it. I don't know if the government has the right to watch and the proper in a lot of capacities of the things that I've faced. So today just just feeling some pretty general fear about my own safety, because the government's burning the private parts of my body. Sometimes it feels like a laser or like pins and needles, like a tattoo. Sometimes it feels like a sunburn. All of that today. This morning, it's like not even noon yet here, and already I'm experiencing the pain and the harm to my body, to the private parts of my body. Today I'm actually dealing with something that's like, it's different than the burning the private parts of my body. It feels like somebody is trying to literally like cut the inside of my body, of my vagina, and I'm bleeding, and it's like bright red blood, and it's extremely painful. And I've talked to 2 people about it today. I've kind of talked to
become very brittle and suddenly I will somehow have a lot of fractures from minor things like stepping off of curbs. And this is just a hypothesis. It's based on past experience of things that have happened, of how the system tries to cover up things that it does to people by saying like, oh, well, this was pre-existing, or, oh, it was just your natural, normal body. See, look, now you have something else going on that points to this. I don't know how to explain to you how deep corruption goes, but it's, you know, I'm dealing with it, baby. But I suspect that's what's going to happen. I hope not. Hopefully this video being out in the world and people being my voice will make so that that doesn't happen. It is absolutely unacceptable for the government to be watching and for teenagers to be sexually assaulted and raped, which is what happened to me, that I have been under close watch for my entire life, and horrible, horrifying, heinous things have happened to me and no one has been prosecuted. And that is the absolute truth. And
went to bed. I had all, and they had relatively high floor, and they had all of a sudden I had been there like 4 or 5 days, and the night before I was attacked really bad, I noticed a maintenance man about 10 or 11 o'clock at night messing with all of the lights up and down the hallway. And as I'm sorry, I get kind of upset when I think about this because it's really messed up. And my spidey sense went off, and I was really kind of nervous about like what the hell he was doing out there, because he was kind of a sinister, he was real creepy kind of person. So so the next night, I believe it was a Friday night, I went to bed. I had all of the doors, all the locks on the door, even the one that kind of like goes over that you can't open from the outside. I had everything locked up. Figured I was safe. I went to bed maybe about 1 o'clock in the morning. I woke up about 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning, bleeding out of every hole, sick. Someone was in my room, or had been in my room. Food was missing. My dogs were traumatized. I had been obviously sexually assaulted in all the worst ways possible. I got up, first thing I did was vomit. And all I wanted to do was I was just in shock. There was a do not disturb sign on my door, and I didn't do this. And there was lotion all over my bathroom floor. All I wanted to do was just get on a plane and get the hell away from everybody. And I was, you know, very, very sick and in a lot of pain. I had already been denied a rape kit when I owned my house, and woke up, and my hair had obviously been pulled out, and there were earplugs in my bed. And I felt like someone had done something. I went to Palos Community Hospital under the directions of a non-compromised police officer who told me that if anything happened, to go right to the hospital. So I did. And I had a compromised doctor who treated me like a third-rate citizen and said she would give me an STD test and a drug test. But she refused me a rape kit. And so I had already been kind of traumatized with hospitals anyway. and honestly just wanted to leave. So I stayed in my room until about checkout, and then when I was downstairs waiting for my cab to come to
pinpoint one person, it's everybody, it's all the time, and so it discredits your character and your state of mind, which, starts to make everybody believe something's wrong with you, and then you start believing something's wrong with you. But it's not you, and you know that it's not you. It's just hard to prove. But don't go get, mental health help. Don't see a psychologist or a psychiatrist. Most of the time, they're involved too. Your police are involved, your firemen, ambulance, people at hospitals, they're all involved. And it's unfortunate that we live in a society that gets a kick out of doing people like that. But it is what it is. The only thing you can do is stay strong and focus on the people you love. I was lucky enough to have my mother, who was going through the same thing that I was going through. They started saying all kind of crazy stuff to her at her jobs, and
I am a victim of organized stalking, electronic harassment, microwave torture, V2K abuse, and I'm asking you to help us end this crime against humanity, which has impacted men, women, children all around the world.
Hi, I'm Wan from Malaysia. My family are targeted individuals. We are victims of cyber torture, and I will not give up. I will fight to the end.
And am a victim of organized
We
stalking,
need this to stop.
electronic
That's it.
harassment, and I'm speaking to you on International Targeted Individual Day. I live in the U.S., in Illinois, and am a victim of organized
We
stalking,
need this to stop.
electronic
That's it.
harassment, microwave torture,
I've been targeted for 9 years.
24/7.
Please become more aware of this crime and those that the crime is being committed against. We need your support and help in ending this crime.
Hello, my name is Wendy Brown. I'm a targeted individual who is living in New Zealand, but my targeting began in California. I'm an American citizen, and the targeting continues in New Zealand. I'm making this video in remembrance of Targeted Individual Day, our third annual Targeted Individual Day. And I'm asking that every honest-hearted human being open their eyes to a crime.
My name is Jeanette. I am 56 years old and I live in Baltimore, Maryland. I am a victim of covert electronic harassment and torture. I am a targeted individual.
Hello.
Why? Because it hurts. I need help. I need you guys to come get me. It's brutally painful. I have a house, 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms.
Ms. Catherine Nestor.
My name is Catherine Nestor, and I'm from Pennsylvania. This commission has spoken of a long history of abuse of the human research subject. Although no one mentioned MKUltra today, President Clinton recently apologized for this. My young child and I have been used as non-consensual test subjects. We have been subjected to COINTELPRO-like stalking, remote neural monitoring, and electromagnetic torture, resulting in psychological and physical damage. And I won't go into the details of that because I have 4 pages written in here that is very similar to Connie's testimony. Please do not wait 70 years to investigate this. I ask Dr. Amy Gutman to begin today.
I am currently a speech-language pathologist working in private practice with young children. I had a 7-year-old client who has autism, and she was the most significantly affected of all of my clients. I eventually had to tell this client to go to another clinic, and they used her to threaten the most torture in me as well as their most extreme forms of torture. For several months, she would cry and scream horribly during our therapy sessions despite having a great day at school. This was highly unusual behavior for her, as she usually behaved very well during her therapy sessions. I observed her gasping for air a few times in the same way that I do when I am being more severely suffocated. The suffocation had been in a mild state for a while up until this point. Many of their torture methods are cyclical in severity. Right after I saw this child being suffocated, then I began to experience very extreme suffocation all day, every day, for about 2 months straight, and that's also when they made it worse when I eat. Then I also work with a 4-year-old little girl with Down syndrome, as well as her 5-year-old sister who also has Down syndrome. I observed both of these girls suddenly grabbing their genitals in pain and verbalizing, "ow." I observed this at least on 1 or 2 occasions for each of them during their separate sessions. During one session, I observed one of my 3-year-old clients suddenly grab his crotch and lean forward in his chair. And then he made a frightening grimace of severe
and have had a decent education. I live in El Dorado Hills, California, with my wife of 14 years, Lorna, and our 5 children. Nicole is 15, Patricia 14, Christopher 13, Dylan 9, and Avery 16 months old. Not only have I been going through this, but my entire family has suffered right by my side. We have all experienced the same type of harassment on different levels. We have all suffered the same symptoms while this harassment was going on. Some of our physical symptoms include severe tooth decay and vision loss, unexplained rashes and burns, severe headaches, mood swings, anxiety, thyroid problems, high blood pressure, heart problems, vision loss, and cancer. Two of my children were born premature, which I attribute to this. Our son Dylan, now age 9, was born very premature. He was born at 31 weeks. During her pregnancy with Dylan, we were being targeted more so than other times. At the delivery, there were weird men walking and waiting around the hospital. Right outside our delivery room window, there was a white cargo van parked with 2 suspicious men inside. They were there the entire labor, a delivery. Our son had to be transported to another hospital 45 minutes away. When arriving to the Toa hospital, those same men and van were present. Three of my children have severe rashes that have not been explained by several doctors. These rashes have been present for several years at a time. If interested, I will gladly furnish you with detailed photos of the rashes. Our infant daughter, at 3 weeks old, was diagnosed with Lerner's syndrome. This was after a severe rash appeared on her body after a few days of torture. We were told by a couple doctors to take her home and love her and spend the rest of the time we have with her. They told us she would ultimately die from this syndrome. Thank God that Lerner's syndrome was not what affected our daughter. Doctors are still dumbfounded by her rash and symptoms. Sadly, we know that her symptoms were effects from the torture this poor innocent 3-week-old baby endured.
Why? Was a mentally unstable individual.
This shotgun is the primary murder weapon. On it, he etched a number of carvings, including "End to the Torment," "Better Off This Way," and my ELF weapon. Alexis had been hearing voices and believed he was being bombarded by microwaves, something naval authorities knew about.
There are multiple indicators that Alexis held a delusional belief that he was being controlled or influenced by extremely low frequency, or ELF, electromagnetic waves.
And in his computer files, the FBI found this.
A document retrieved from the electronic media stated, quote, "Ultra low frequency attack is what I've been subject to for the last 3 months. And to be perfectly honest, that is what has driven me to this."
And so on what should have been a routine day, Alexis killed 12 people, mothers, fathers, sons, daughters.
Diane, they never had a chance, and still no answers as to why so many red flags were missed.
As you say, so many red flags. Thank you, Pierre.
People.
About his time spent here in New Mexico.
As sick as this may sound, I've even had stalkers follow me into church while I was in Las Cruces and in Houston. I've had stalkers follow me into church to harass me.
May had worked as a prosecutor in Las Cruces just weeks before the shooting. In his last words, May speaks of his paranoia and coins himself as a targeted individual who's been a victim of stalking and harassment. He talked about a trip to Houston where he said cars would drive by and honk their horns every 10 minutes to keep him on the edge and agitated.
Father, forgive me for what I'm about to do. Forgive me for all of my sins, past sins, present sins, any future sins.
What do you mean by that? It's happening at work? At work, I had to quit my job, go to a different place to try to leave it, and then it's there as well. So. What were they saying at work? And everywhere, so yeah. What do you mean by that? A lot of sense. What do you mean by that? It's happening at work? At work, I had to quit my job, go to a different place to try to leave it, and then it's there as well. So.
What were they saying at work?
Huh?
What kind of stuff were they?
Yeah, I'm a pedophile. I like little boys. I like little girls.
And what kind of stuff were your friends talking about?
Same exact stuff. It's the same thing.
Do the people at where you work know the people that you serve with?
They live in Boston. They're all somewhat close, yeah, areas. But do they know each other?
Do they know each other?
I don't know.
So when you say you hear bits and pieces, how do you hear the bits and pieces?
Just thrown in conversations or when I turn my back.
Okay. All right. They mentioned that you have some hearing aids, right?
Yeah.
That you. How long have you had those?
4 months, 3 months now.
Okay. All right. How long have these issues been going on at home, work, here?
It's been about 6 months now.
Okay. All right. Did you say you got hearing aids?
3 months ago, because I was hearing shit and everyone was looking at me and talking, and I watch people. That's what I do. And no one looks at me. No one talks. Like, I'm pretty invisible until all of a sudden now everyone fucking knows who I am.
Around others wounded. The first 911 call coming in around 7 p.m. from a local bowling alley that was hosting a youth night for a kids' bowling league.
We have an active shooter. We have multiple injuries.
Authorities releasing these surveillance images showing the suspect they're looking for. His name is Robert Card, and he's pictured armed with an AR-15 style rifle.
Mr. Card is considered armed and dangerous, and police advise that Maine people should not approach him under any circumstances.
Megan Hutchinson and her 10-year-old daughter Zoe were at the bowling alley. Zoe's leg grazed by a bullet.
I never thought I'd grow up and get a bullet in my leg. Why? Like, why do people do this?
After allegedly shooting several people inside the bowling alley, Card is believed to have traveled about 4 miles to a local bar and restaurant.
sensitive secrets, potentially making this. The Defense Department releasing brand new details into an investigation involving child pornography and dozens of its workers and contractors, some with top-level security clearance. Not only are these very serious accusations, but investigators say some of the people involved were handling the nation's most sensitive secrets, potentially making this a matter of national security. Chief Fox Report correspondent Jonathan Hunt with the news. Appalling story, Jonathan. Do we know more about these people and their security clearances?
Well, we don't know their exact job titles, John, but what we do know is that they did appear to have been working, some of them at high levels, across a range of government agencies. Take a look at this, for instance, the National Security Agency, the National Reconnaissance Office, and the very secretive Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency. Others also work.
Two-year-old and a 6-year-old. He was simply fired. One employee purchased sexually explicit videos of young girls filmed by their mothers. He resigned. One employee estimated that he had viewed up to 1,400 sexually abusive images of children while on agency assignments. Not sure what actions, if any, were taken by him. One contractor arranged for sex with an undercover FBI agent. I think that you mentioned that. Posing as a child, he had his contract revoked. One CIA staffer was charged with child sexual crimes, and the employee was also under investigation for mishandling classified material. But sexual crimes involving children, says BuzzFeed, including the viewing of images of abuse, have been uncovered at other agencies that handle sensitive information. In a November 2009 report, the Department of Defense acknowledged that dozens of Pentagon staff members or contractors had such images. In 2014, the Inspector General of the Intelligence Community found that 2 officials from the National Reconnaissance Office, which oversees America's spy satellites, acknowledged viewing images of child sexual abuse during polygraph examinations. This is so disturbing. At a symposium in 2016, Daniel Payne, a top Pentagon security official, said that when workers' computers were examined, the amount of child porn I see is just unbelievable. Is this something that is happening in the general evil?
Allie, we're told, and when I was put through recruitment into the intel community, you're put through polygraphs, you're put through a rigorous selection process. Why aren't these people weeded out? Why are so many pedophiles allowed to be given top-level security clearance? Remember, these aren't just people walking in off the street and saying, hey, can I get hired? Can I get a job? You're put through an extremely rigorous background check screening process. It's called an SSBI, single scope background investigation. There are people, they interview you, they interview your family, they interview your contacts, they go through your online footprint, they go through everything. So why is it that when they're going through these footprints, they're not checking, these digital footprints, they're not checking for so many pedophiles getting through their ranks? If it were up to me, you need to go into Congress, and Congress needs to launch a brand new church committee, number one, to talk about domestic surveillance operations, but number two, to ask the question, why are there so many pedophiles sitting behind
the CIA raping children and sexually assaulting children? And they're not being prosecuted? Where are you?
Has come under investigation for links to the proliferation of graphic material. Called Project Flickr, some 5,000 individuals have been identified as having subscriptions to child porn sites, including many DoD-affiliated persons. So this ongoing national investigation has now prompted the House to introduce a bipartisan bill that would help the DoD stop the use of its network to, quote, possess, procure, or produce child pornography. Joining us to discuss this, investigative journalist Ben Swan. So Ben, the Pentagon already takes measures to limit worker access to stuff like porn by rolling out what they call the Personal Electronic Device PED policy, where workers have to drop off their phones and lockers before entering their offices. All their online searches are accessible by security if or when needed. Their Wi-Fi access is monitored in digital security sweeps. So how is this happening?
Well, it's happening because even though there is a certain amount of limitation on access, those who are working in the Department of Defense, clearly it appears to be thousands of individuals in the Department of Defense, are finding ways around this, specifically by using the Department of Defense IP addresses and also apparently peer-to-peer sharing within the department's network. So this study that was done on this issue, and it is pretty horrifying, Manila, to consider this. It shows that the Department of Defense ranked 19th out of almost 3,000 networks in terms of peer-to-peer sharing of child pornography. That is absolutely incredible. This bill attempts to essentially say, look, we're not doing enough to stop it from coming in, but we're also not doing enough in the Department of Defense to go after those individuals who are being recognized as the ones who are perpetrating this.
So Congresswoman Abigail Spanberger is the co-author to this bill. She said this, quote, "The notion that the Department of Defense's network and Pentagon-issued computers may be used to view, create, or circulate such horrifying images is a shameful disgrace and one we must fight head-on." Now, the fact that the Pentagon workers, be they civil or military or otherwise, already submit to a gauntlet of daily scrutiny just going in and out of work, is it fair then to the tens of thousands who are completely innocent to further allow that much more government intrusion into their, their digital devices or the things that they're dealing with on their computers?
Well, remember that what's being talked about here is not an intrusion into someone's personal device or even their home. This is about saying Department of Defense computers are being misused to share, to spread, to access child pornography. And when you step into an office, whether it's a Department of Defense office or it's the offices at RT America, wherever you go into an office, you do not have the right to simply use the technology within that office space however you want. And you certainly don't have the right to use it in a criminal manner. So essentially, this bill is trying to
is a shameful disgrace, and one we must fight head-on, Spanberger said in a statement. According to child pornography watchdog Internet Crimes Against Children Child Online Protective Services, the Defense Department network consistently ranks in the top tier of Internet service providers for trafficking child pornography. It ranked 19th of nearly 3,000 networks surveyed in 2018. Meadows said the legislation.
Why are so many pedophiles allowed to be given top-level security clearance? Remember, these aren't just people walking in off the street and saying, hey, can I get hired? Can I get a job? You're put through an extremely rigorous background check screening process. It's called an SSBI, single scope background investigation. There are people, they interview you, they interview your family, they interview your contacts, they go through your online footprint, they go through everything. So why is it that when they're going through these footprints, they're not checking, these digital footprints, they're not checking for so many pedophiles getting through their ranks? If it were up to me, you need to go into
and go a food courtin'. More. More even went to the mall to get into the holiday spirit. One woman recalls that she was 14 and working as Santa's helper at the Gadsden Mall in 1977 when Moore first spoke to her and told her she would look pretty. 2 years later, when she was 16, he asked her out on dates. He hit on one of Santa's elves. Well, a true evangelical, he's putting the Christ back in Christmas.
Wow.
And I hear the sleigh bells jingling, ring, ting, tingling, too. It wasn't just the mall, folks. One Alabama journalist claims that Moore was also banned from the YMCA for his inappropriate behavior as soliciting sex from young girls. And don't forget, he did that while he was assistant DA. The assistant.